Many games enjoy eternal adoration. Many others find themselves in Metacritic's eternal damnation. In this series, the tortured souls of games that found their way to a red Metascore of 49 out of 100 or less are given a final chance for gaming salvation. Following this review, will today's game be given a chance of Ascension, or forever languish in Metacritic detention? This is Ascension or Detention. Welcome friends! Today's game facing permanent placement in the pixelated penitentiary is Tetris Worlds for the PlayStation 2. This game was released worldwide on September 5th, 2001, followed by the PlayStation 2, Xbox and the Game Boy Advance versions the following year. This game was produced by Blue Planet Software and was published by THQ. As of the making of this video, Tetris Worlds sits at a less than average Metascore of 44. For once, the public comments are mostly devoid of gushing idiocy or rampant hate parades, and the painfully average public score of 6.2 out of 10 seems to give this game a glimmer of hope. Blue Planet Software were very prolific during the 16-bit era, making several sports and puzzle games. However, they were responsible for many versions of Tetris over the years and are the sole publishers of all Tetris games today. They even managed to get the game's original creator Alexei Pajitnov on board with Tetris Worlds. With the creator of the Soviet Mind game being part of their creative team, could this be the first game that receives salvation in this series? Let's see, shall we? Well, I'm sure that Tetris needs no introduction. Even people who don't play games know what Tetris is. Indeed, by saying you don't know what Tetris is might make the average person spit out biscuit crumbs all over their Sudoku puzzles in incredulous disbelief. Here is the Game Boy version of Tetris, and it still ranks as one of the greatest puzzle games to this day. I went mad for this wonderful port back in 1989, and I subsequently ran through my own bodyweight and AA batteries by keeping this handheld masterpiece going. This port had everything: tight controls, bags of personality, oodles of charm, great sound, and who can forget Mode B, where you get to see a Russian dancing scene and a rocket launch as a reward for blistering your soul for getting through level 9.5. So, Blue Planet Software, with the benefit of 12 years and a wonderful game platform to build on, please don't get cocky and put your own wacky slant on this version of Tetris for the sake of creative hubris.
Fellow citizens, we are facing the ultimate crisis.
Oh, for God's sake, what did I just tell you? Oh, the perfect game for not requiring a story now has a story. And what is this story, I hear you ask? Well, your task is to use your cube-shaped Mino Tetranaut to help the Minos escape the planet Hadar 4 as the temperature is set to rise to a slightly inconvenient 5000 Kelvin due to a nearby star becoming a supernova. Just hot enough to get a nice toasty marshmallow while the inhabitants of the planet get incinerated. Well, at least they won't have to suffer this game's story anymore. The Minos can escape to safety by going to 6 planets, each guarded by a Tetrion, or Tetris Gate. You open a Tetrion by playing each variant of Tetris until you rank up, at which point the planet gets a small terraforming upgrade and some of the Minos are rescued. Simply get to rank 11 on all 6 variations of Tetris and you get the ending that shows Hadar 4 suddenly healing itself for reasons that seem to escape the attention of the writers of this garbage. Having watched the story in full, I can conclude that this wretched, idiotic and utterly bloody ludicrous addition to Tetris has all the relevance, sense and necessity of a bowl of alphabet soup being strapped to the back of a tap-dancing sprinting gazelle. Onto the graphics, and we can see a lot of changes have occurred. Visually, the game is competent and inoffensive by 2001 standards. However, all the Russian elements from the Soviet Mind game seem to have been stuffed into the rocket from the Game Boy version and promptly fired into the sun. Instead, we have one-eyed cubes and evolving backgrounds to each of the 6 planets, mainly to prop up the gangrenous sludge pile of a story. Although the visuals are utterly incongruous to the spirit of a Tetris story, it's oddly pleasing to rank up and see the backgrounds evolve into fully habitable planets. However, my patience with the sound choices provided for this game has managed to sink to subterranean levels. Instead of the magnificent Korobeniki or the Tetris theme based on a Russian folk dance everybody knows, we have a festering cretinous and arbitrary ambient techno dirge sitting in its place. With this world famous piece of music being stuffed into the nearest trash compactor, it begs the question of why the game's creator Alexei Pajitnov was involved with this game at all. It wouldn't be surprising to me if it turned out he was held hostage at Blue Planet Software while they had him tied to a chair, followed by subjecting him to the sight of every ounce of his Russian heritage and influence with the original game being willfully sandblasted off this version. Oh, and the auditory crimes don't stop there either. While the standard sound effects for the movement of the blocks are perfectly adequate, the use of pointless and grating whispering woman to introduce the game type or to announce how many lines you have cleared in one move seems to be a decision only fit for pollution-addled inhabitants currently orbiting planet Lunacy. The Game Boy version had some fantastic sound effects for clearing 1 to 3 lines, and a truly excellent sound for clearing 4 lines at once. Here, we just get Tetris. Oh, what a great celebration of your 4-line clearance, immortalised in the most underwhelming way ever conceived. Perhaps another line, "They're watching my every move, call for help," would be a fitting addition to this soundtrack. At this stage we can cast aside the idiotic plot, dismiss the asinine whispering sounds, defenestrate the graphics, and concentrate on what matters most for Tetris, the gameplay. The controls feel a little sticky, but are mostly responsive and are easy to pick up and get used to. If they weren't, I would have kicked this game down the stairs and into hell's basement for that alone. Being able to see the next 6 pieces in advance is very welcome, and being able to hold on to a piece for later use is a massive benefit for gameplay and is one of the game's best additions. As there are 6 planets, we have 6 versions of Tetris we can play. Thankfully, they didn't meddle with the original version to its detriment and is a very playable experience. Allow me to introduce the remaining 5 versions for your delectation. Square Tetris is normal Tetris, but you can make 4x4 squares as well. Wow, this is what qualifies as a new version of Tetris. What a pointless bloody addition. Cascade Tetris allows for remaining parts of a block to be affected by gravity. This is also the background mechanic for the last 3 versions as well. Hotline Tetris awards you points for clearing lines on the hotlines, and extra points for hotlines nearest to the top of the playfield. Sticky Tetris has blocks of the same colour fused together, and includes junk lines to clear at the bottom of the screen. Finally, Fusion Tetris has you surrounding an atom block with 1x1 blocks to create a fusion and to set off further cascades. With these modes being entertaining in their own right, and the game being covered in full, I can now decide whether this game will receive Ascension, or be forever confined to Metacritic Detention. Tetris Worlds for the PlayStation 2 isn't a great game, nor is it a bad one. This game is the digital equivalent of Switzerland, and inhabits a place right in the middle of the midpoint of mediocrity. Being a plain, vanilla, beige and painfully average experience, Tetris Worlds doesn't deserve to be obliterated by fire with absolute crap like Frog of the Great Quest or Triggerman, and so, congratulations to Tetris Worlds for being my first game to receive Ascension. Here is my Metacritic review, and my contribution towards this game's lifting into Metacritic salvation. Until next time on Ascension or Detention, goodbye friends.